The Glock 19 gleamed in the morning sun, square at my chest. Clara Wentworth, the HOA president, had lost it, her finger trembling on the trigger as she shrieked, "I'll end you." All because I dared to erect a 7-foot fence on my own land. Then came the thunder of hooves, Boulder, my 300-pound ram, charging like a runaway train. What happened next would spark headlines and unravel a scandal that shook Montana to its core. 6 months ago, Ethan Harper, swapped Silicon Valley's chaos for 50 acres of big sky serenity in Silver Creek Estates. After a decade at a tech giant, untangling code and dodging corporate backstabbing, I thought I'd found peace. But Silver Creek's polished name should have been my first clue this wasn't freedom. It was a gilded cage run by a homeowners association drunk on power. I'm no cowboy, but I sank my life savings, $2 million, into this ranch, dreaming of open skies and quiet nights. Instead, I stumbled into a war with Clara, a 5 feet 4 inches tyrant in a scarlet blazer who wielded her clipboard like a dictator's scepter. It started with the fence. Not just any fence, $7, 500 of premium cedar, handcrafted by Montana's finest. I'm a tech guy. I don't half-ass things. I pored over the HOA rulebook like it was a software manual. Article 17, Section 4. Perimeter fencing may not exceed 8 feet. My fence was 7 feet. Bulletproof. Right?
Wrong.
Day 3 of construction, Clara stormed onto my property, eyes blazing, accusing me of violating Regulation 127. I pointed out the rulebook allowed 8 feet. She smirked, tapping her manicured nails against the cedar. That's outdated. I'm changing it. Changing it? The rule hadn't even been voted on yet. I held my ground, citing the bylaws. Her face turned the color of her blazer, and she snapped photos of my fence like a paparazzo, muttering about standards. My ranch hand, Javier Torres, a hard-working guy sending money to his family in Guatemala, warned me, "Senor Ethan, she's unhinged." She'd forced the Millers to leave over a wrong mailbox color. I laughed it off. Big mistake. That night, I dug into Silver Creek's records. Clara had rewritten the HOA rules 12 times in 5 years. 3 families fled after bizarre fines. The Wilsons for unapproved grass. The Capers for holiday lights left up 2 days too long. Worse, each vacated property was snapped up by an LLC called Peak Pulse Holdings. Coincidence? My tech instincts screamed otherwise.
No.
By 3 a.m., I'd built a dossier thicker than a startup's pitch deck, mapping connections like I was debugging a crash server. Clara was playing dirty, and I was in her crosshairs. The HOA's emergency meeting felt like a kangaroo court. Clara, in a crimson suit, presided over a mahogany table flanked by her loyal board. I didn't come alone. I brought my lawyer, Rachel Gwynn, a property law shark who made partners tremble. Clara's PowerPoint, a clip art monstrosity, proposed slashing fence heights to a uniform 5 feet 4 inches. Rachel shut her down, citing state law that prohibits retroactive enforcement of HOA rules. I stood, heart pounding, and dropped my bombshell. Clara's own violations, an oversized pool, an unapproved greenhouse, a non-compliant driveway, documented with time-stamped Google Earth screenshots. Gasps rippled through the room. Clara's face cycled through red, white, and purple. Then the neighbors piled on. Mr. Thompson was fined for installing the wrong kind of basketball hoop. Mrs. Larson was harassed over a bird feeder. Clara's iron grip was cracking. The vote to keep the 8-foot rule passed 8-7. Clara's glare could have melted steel. As she stormed out, I overheard her on the phone. The vote failed, but he's done. He has no idea what's coming. The next morning, my fence was vandalized. Red spray paint screamed, "Tear it down." Security footage showed Clara's black Cadillac SUV creeping past my property at 3:17 a.m. Sheriff Tom Hargrove called it circumstantial, but Javier and I scrubbed paint all day, fuming. Clara's reign was legendary. She'd driven out the Carters over their daughter's violin practice, deemed noise pollution. Then came the environmental inspection. 2 men arrived unannounced. One was Clara's cousin. They cited me for sheep waste violations and slapped me with $2,000 in fines. The paperwork was fishy. The letterhead was pixelated like a bad Photoshop job. A few days later, I found surveyor stakes near my property line, dated weeks earlier. Someone was eyeing my land. The breaking point came when Boulder, my dopey ram, escaped chasing a coyote. He barreled through Clara's prized rose garden, $50,000 worth of imported blossoms, flattening everything in his path. By dawn, Clara was at my door, screaming about Princess, her favorite hybrid rose bush, in tears and trembling with rage. Elizabeth roses and a ruined Italian fountain. I offered to pay, but her itemized damages list, complete with garden show ribbons, reeked of premeditation. I pushed back, mentioning the tampered gate and her cousin's fake inspection. Her eyes turned feral. "You're just like my kids," she hissed, "thinking you can defy me." Then she pulled the Glock. Time slowed. The gun wavered as Clara ranted about order, her ungrateful neighbors, and her ex-husband Carl, a former congressman. Javier, calm under pressure, dialed 911. Neighbors froze. Boulder, grazing nearby, lifted his head. His eyes locked on her. "Clara, put it down," Mr. Thompson pleaded. She spun, guns swinging wildly, screaming about respect and obedience. I raised my hands, voice steady. "I followed your rules." Her face twisted in rage. She fired. The bullet grazed my ear. The crack echoed off the barn walls. Then Boulder moved. 300 pounds of woolly fury barreled across the field, hooves pounding like war drums. He hit Clara full force. Her body launched 10 feet through the air, her scarlet suit flapping like a villain's cape. She crashed into my horse trough, an explosion of algae and water erupting into the morning air. She emerged, drenched and gasping, mascara streaking down her face. The Glock skidded across the grass. Javier snatched it mid-spin like a shortstop. Silence fell. Then Mr. Thompson laughed. It started low, then spread like wildfire through the stunned crowd. Clara floundered, shrieking about lawsuits and sheep assault. Sheriff Tom Hargrove arrived, dash cam rolling. "Clara Wentworth," he said, stepping out of his cruiser. "You're under arrest. Assault. Reckless endangerment. Terroristic threats." She opened her mouth to protest. He cut her off. "Your ex tipped us off. You're banned from firearm ownership." The aftermath was chaos. My cameras caught a blue sedan parked at the edge of my property during the showdown. The HOA vice president, Leonard Tate Park, sat inside, snapping photos but never helping. The headline read, "HOA chief arrested after gun threat. Hero Ram saves neighbor." But the real story was bigger. The FBI rolled in, led by Special Agent Laura Esposito. My dossier on Peak Pulse Holdings cracked open a conspiracy. Clara was a pawn, used by Rockfield Minerals, a mining conglomerate targeting Silver Creek's rare earth deposits, worth over $200 million. They'd orchestrated a campaign of harassment to tank property values, then bought up the land cheap. Leonard, a Rockfield board member, had been Clara's handler. Searches of Clara's home revealed leverage files, blackmail dossiers on nearly every neighbor, financial woes, affairs, medical histories, even children's social media posts. Her journals painted a picture of a paranoid narcissist haunted by her divorce and custody battle. "They're all plotting, just like Carl," she wrote. Under pressure, Leonard flipped. He detailed Rockfield's schemes across 12 states. Clara's trial became a media circus. She was sentenced to 15 years for fraud, extortion, and assault. Leonard got 8. Rockfield faced federal fines that crippled their operations. Silver Creek rebuilt. We dissolved the HOA and elected Mr. Thompson as our new president. Transparent rules replaced bureaucracy. The state protected our valley as a geological preserve. I founded Horizon Ranch, a therapy program for kids. Boulder, its gentle giant star. Javier brought his family from Guatemala to help run it. Sheriff Hargrove retired and now volunteers at the ranch, spinning tales of Boulder the crime buster. At our first community festival, we unveiled a Lady Justice statue inscribed, "To a community that fought corruption, justice sometimes wears wool." Hollywood called, pitching a movie deal. As I watched kids crown Boulder with flowers, my phone buzzed. An anonymous text. Asterisk, you think it's over? You've only begun. Asterisk. I showed it to Agent Esposito. She nodded grimly. Rockfield's reach was long. But standing with my neighbors, I knew we'd face whatever came. In Montana, we don't back down. We protect our own. Sometimes with a ram who negotiates with horns.